It's not that you're busy. It's not that you didn't see the call. And it's definitely not that you don't care. But when the phone starts ringing, something inside you tightens. Your eyes lock onto the screen, your heart beats just a little faster. And instead of answering, you watch it ring and ring until it stops. Then comes the silence. And strangely, relief, but also a quiet guilt you can't explain. Why is something so simple so hard? You're sitting alone, maybe scrolling through your phone. It's calm, safe, predictable. Then, suddenly, your phone lights up. Someone is calling you, not texting, calling. And in that moment, everything changes. Your mind races. What do they want? Is something wrong? What am I supposed to say? What if I sound awkward? Your finger hovers over the screen. You think about answering, you really do, but instead you let it pass. You tell yourself, I'll call back later. But later rarely comes. Instead, you send the message. Hey, sorry I missed your call. What's up? Because texting feels easier, controlled, safe. No pressure to respond instantly. No fear of saying the wrong thing. No awkward silences. Just space to think. And somehow that space feels necessary. But here's the part most people don't understand. Avoiding phone calls isn't just a habit. It's a feeling. A deep, quiet reaction that comes from somewhere beneath the surface. And once you notice it, you can't unsee it. People who avoid phone calls are not lazy. They're not rude. They're not antisocial. They're often the ones who think too much, feel too deeply, and carry conversations long after they're over. Because for them, a phone call isn't just a call. It's unpredictable. When you text, you have time. You can read, pause, rewrite, think. But on a call, everything's immediate. There's no buffer, no edit button, no escape from the moment. And that lack of control creates tension, even fear. Not loud fear, not panic, just a quiet resistance. Like your mind is trying to protect you from something you can't fully explain. Here's something most people won't say out loud. Sometimes it's not the call you're avoiding. It's the feeling that comes with it, the pressure to respond correctly, the fear of being misunderstood, the discomfort of small talk that feels empty, or worse, the possibility of hearing something you're not ready to hear. Because a call is real, immediate. It demands your full attention. And if you're someone who overthinks, that's a lot, more than most people realize. Think about the last time your phone rang unexpectedly. Not a scheduled call, not something you planned, just a random call. What did you feel? Was it curiosity or was it tension? That tiny moment tells you everything because your reaction isn't random. It's learned. Somewhere along the way, your brain decided calls are uncomfortable. Calls are unpredictable. Calls require too much. And now, without thinking, you avoid them. But let's go deeper, because this isn't just about communication, it's about emotional safety. People who avoid phone calls often crave connection, but only in ways that feel safe. They want to talk. They want to be understood. They want to feel close to others, but not at the cost of feeling exposed. And the phone call can feel exposing. Your voice reveals things texts never could. Your tone, your pauses, your hesitation, even your silence. It all becomes visible. And for someone who's used to protecting their inner world, that can feel like too much. There's also something else, something quieter. Sometimes avoiding calls is about energy, because talking takes energy, listening takes energy, responding in real time takes energy. And if you're already mentally drained, A call can feel like a demand you're not ready to meet. So you choose the easier option, silence, not because you don't care, but because you don't have the energy to show it properly. Now, pause for a second. Be honest. How many times have you ignored a call even when you wanted to answer? How many times have you said, I'll call later, and never did? And more importantly, how many times have you felt guilty for it? Just sit with that for a moment. Here's where it gets interesting. Avoiding phone calls doesn't just affect others, it slowly shapes how you see yourself. You start to think, why am I like this? Why can't I just answer like everyone else? And without realizing, you begin to judge yourself. But what if it's not a flaw? What if it's a signal? A signal that something inside you needs understanding, not criticism. Because the truth is, people who avoid calls are often highly aware. They notice tone, they read between the lines, they pick up on things others miss. And that sensitivity can be overwhelming in real-time conversations. So they choose distance, not to disconnect, but to cope. Let's look at a real-life moment. Someone calls you. You don't answer. A few minutes later, they text, "Why didn't you pick up?" Now you feel pressure. You start thinking of an explanation, not just a reason, but the right reason. One that doesn't sound rude, one that doesn't invite more questions. So you craft a reply, carefully, because even that feels like a conversation you need to manage. And suddenly, a simple missed call turns into a mental loop. This is what people don't see, the hidden weights behind something so small. But here's a twist. Avoiding calls isn't just about fear or discomfort. Sometimes it's about control. Texting gives you control over timing, over words, over how you're perceived. A call takes that away. It puts you in the moment, raw, unfiltered. And if you're someone who's learned to control how you come across, that can feel risky. So you avoid it. Not consciously, but instinctively. Another pause. Think about this. If phone calls had a pause button, would you still avoid them? If you could stop mid-conversation, think, and continue, would it feel easier? That answer reveals more than you think. Here's something most people never realize. Avoiding phone calls isn't always a problem. Sometimes it's just a preference, a different way of communicating, a quieter way, a more thoughtful way. But it becomes a problem when it starts limiting your life, when opportunities pass because you didn't answer, when relationships feel distant because you don't engage, when people misunderstand your silence. That's when it matters. Because the truth is, not every call is dangerous. Not every conversation needs to be perfect. And not every silence needs to be filled with the right words. Sometimes it's okay to be a little awkward, to pause, to not have the perfect response. Because real connection isn't built on perfection, it's built on presence. Here's a small shift that changes everything. Instead of asking, what if I say the wrong thing? Ask, what if it doesn't have to be perfect? That one thought softens the pressure and makes the moment feel lighter. Another shift. Instead of seeing calls as interruptions, try seeing them as invitations. Not demands, not obligations, just invitations. Something you can accept or decline, without guilt, without overthinking, just a choice. But let's be honest, changing this isn't instant. You won't suddenly love phone calls, and that's okay. This isn't about forcing yourself, it's about understanding yourself. Because once you understand the why, the behavior starts to lose its power. And slowly, you might notice something. You hesitate less. You answer sometimes, not every time, but more than before. And each time, it feels a little easier, a little lighter, a little less overwhelming. Because at the end of the day, this was never just about phone calls. It was about how you handle pressure, how you protect your energy, how you navigate connection, and how you respond to moments you can't fully control. So the next time your phone rings, notice what you feel, not what you do, not whether you answer or not, just what you feel. That awareness is where everything begins. And maybe, just maybe, one day you'll pick up, not because you have to, but because it no longer feels heavy. And that's when you'll realize It was never the call you were avoiding, it was the feeling behind it. And now you understand it.